Welcome back to Beacon Hills. Continuing our journey through the legendary bestiary, our fourth episode brings us to the Banshees of the supernatural world of Teen Wolf. Banshees are a very important part of not only the universe's lore, but the franchise as a whole, and I'd even argue they're the second most important creatures in the series, right behind the werewolves. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, I hope that after today, I'll earn your subscription and continued support. Grab a snack and a drink, because this is going to be the definitive guide on the Banshees of MTV's Teen Wolf. Let's begin. Banshees are special human women who have the supernatural power to sense and predict when someone is about to die. As a result, they are considered harbingers of death and are often referred to as the Wailing Woman, due to the fact that they unconsciously scream to announce when someone has died, usually those killed by supernatural forces, though their scream can also be used for other purposes. These women predict death through premonitions, which can be auditory, visual, or both, depending on the power level of the Banshee in question. When a Banshee has a premonition, the sounds and or sights they perceive indicate various factors that will either lead to or directly cause the death of someone in their vicinity, which are usually people harmed by supernaturals or someone the Banshee knows. However, these premonitions are not always literal and can require a certain amount of interpretation. Additionally, since the future is always in flux, a death that a Banshee has predicted may not come to pass if the events or cause of death can be averted using the knowledge gained from the Banshee's premonition. This can be a very useful power for Banshees who are members of a pack, such as Lydia Martin, as it gives them a team of people to help them prevent the foretold deaths. Known Banshees in the series include Lydia Martin, Lorraine Martin, and Meredith Walker, though it has been implied that there have been other Banshees in Beacon Hills as well, such as the one Sheriff Stilinski met several years prior to the start of the series, who predicted the death of his wife, Claudia Stilinski. Another Banshee, Leonore, has been revealed to live in the ghost town of Canaan during the beginning of Teen Wolf Season 6, during Season 6 Part 1, a town whose entire population was captured by the Ghost Riders of the Wild Hunt in the mid to late 1980s. The trauma of watching her fellow citizens be taken caused her to unleash her powers in the form of a Banshee aura, permeating the town and giving her unprecedented levels of control over everything in its borders, to the point where she even created a ghostly manifestation of her own dead son through whom she can use her powers. Lydia has been referred to as an exceptionally powerful Banshee, and as such, she is the one whose powers have been explored the most in the series. Her Banshee nature was triggered after she was bitten by then Alpha werewolf Peter Hale in the Season 1 episode Formality, which activated her supernatural powers, and it has been implied that these powers would have not manifested until after she turned 18, if at all, had she not been bitten at that time. Once Lydia recovered from the attack, she began going into fugue states, during which she would walk or drive to the location of a recently deceased body, such as the Duroc sacrifices and Deadpool murder victims she found in Season 3 and 4, respectively. This can also extend to the locations where a person who is about to die may be as well, as she was unconsciously drawn to Derek Hell's loft during the Deadpool so she could wail for his impending death, though it ultimately did not come to permanently pass. In Season 3, Lydia was finally identified as a Banshee by Jennifer Blake, who seemed very shocked by this discovery because Lydia now knows, and because of Lydia now knowing what she is, she had an easier time learning to understand and interpret the premonitions she received, especially after she met fellow Banshee Meredith Walker, who helped her learn to use those aspects of her powers that she did not know she had, such as the ability to use her voice as a weapon in early Season 5. As she learned more about her powers, she became more powerful as well, with her premonitions evolving from purely being auditory to both being auditory and visual. She also had gained a slight degree of control over her fugue states, where she can remain at least somewhat consciously aware of what she's doing as she follows her instincts to where the body is, whereas in the past, she simply would go into a full trance, find a body, and then become aware of where she was while having no idea why or how she even got there in the first place. She began to use various forms of divination, such as automatic writing, during her fugue states in the event that she cannot trigger her actual premonition on her own. Banshees are human in appearance and physiology, and unlike most supernatural creatures, they do not possess the power to shapeshift. They also do not have superhuman physical attributes such as superhuman strength or accelerated healing, which gives them the same form of mortality as a regular human as well. Chris Argent has implied that this is because Banshees are not actually true supernatural creatures who are controlled by the moon or other mystical forces such as werewolves and hellhounds. Instead, they are humans with access to the supernatural, allowing the aforementioned mystical forces to flow through them so that the Banshee can utilize the power of this force and apply it in the form of a variety of powers. This could be why each Banshee introduced in the series has not had exactly the same power set. While some powers, such as the ability to sense and experience premonitions of a person's death, clairaudience, and the power to hear things beyond human perception, the ability to utilize a Banshee well, and a connection to other harbingers of death appear to be common amongst most or all Banshees. Other powers such as divination, true telepathy, supernatural intuition, psychokinesis, and astral premonitions are unique to certain individuals, suggesting that each Banshee uses the supernatural forces flowing through her in different ways. While Banshees have been said to have highly enhanced senses of hearing, this trait is not necessarily to the extent of the enhanced hearing of supernatural shapeshifters such as werewolves or werecoyotes, whose sense of hearing are tied to their physical enhancements and allow them to simply hear from further distances and at lower volumes like their canine counterparts. Banshees, while seemingly possessing more sensitive senses of hearing than a normal human, do not have a shapeshifter's level of hearing. Rather, they have the ability of clairaudience, with their ears seemingly tuned to supernatural frequencies, allowing their powers to convert those frequencies, otherwise on a level of the universe that no other creature can hear, into auditory premonitions to help them predict deaths. Banshees are immune to most supernatural phenomena, and as a result of not being truly supernatural but still utilizing its forces similar to chimeras. For example, Banshees can handle mountain ash like any other human, druid, or chimera, and it cannot be used to trap them or block them from entry from an area as it would shapeshifters. Additionally, Banshees are immune to the bite of an alpha werewolf and will not be transformed into a werewolf if they are bitten, though they can have a negative reaction to the bite that is similar to a powerful allergic reaction caused by their body rejecting the mystical side. For example, Lydia experienced these side effects after she was bitten by Peter Hale, which required hospitalization for an entire weekend, and Banshees will also not be paralyzed if they are exposed to the venom of a canema. The Banshee trait is known to be inherited by the females of a bloodline. In the case of Lydia Martin, she is believed to have gained her Banshee nature from her paternal grandmother, Lorraine Martin. It has been implied that their supernatural powers will be activated upon reaching adulthood in most Banshees, though extremely traumatic events can trigger these nascent abilities at an earlier age. For example, Lydia was viciously attacked by an alpha werewolf, in this case being Peter Hale, which triggered her Banshee heritage and caused her to activate her powers at the age of 16. And Meredith Walker also seemed to have gained her powers while she was still in high school, suggesting that she too experienced a traumatic event that triggered her abilities earlier than normal, though this is yet to be explicitly confirmed by Jeff Davis or other series official sources. Banshees in the series demonstrate a diverse range of supernatural abilities, often unique to individuals, but with the potential to be learned and developed through experience and training. A foundational power shared by all Banshees is death sense, allowing them to instinctively perceive when someone has died or is about to die, often leading them into a trance-like state to locate the deceased or dying. This is often complemented by clairaudience, an ability to discern details of death through sounds interceptable to others, such as whispers or specific environmental noises. And while not as acute as shapeshifters, Banshees also possess enhanced hearing, making them sensitive to certain loud noises and able to pick up subtle noises. Banshees frequently experience premonitions that offer insights into how, where, and what will cause a person's death. Similar to how premonitions work in Final Destination, obviously, a series I'll be talking about in the near future on Jades Corner, because it has pretty interesting lore in my honest opinion. But back to the video. initially manifesting as auditory warnings but evolved into visual premonitions with increased power. Advanced Banshees like Lydia Martin can even experience astral premonitions, allowing them to project themselves into and interact with their visions or memories of past events, and their abilities often extend to various forms of divination, using methods like sound divination, interpreting vibrations to gain information, psychometry, gaining information through physical contact with a person or an object, and automatic writing, unconsciously writing or typing insights while in a trance. Beyond individual perceptions, Banshees share a Harbinger connection, an almost telepathic link with other Banshees and Hellhounds, both of whom are also Harbingers of Death. This allows for communication and mutual awareness, particularly in emergencies, and the most iconic and powerful Banshee ability is their Banshee Scream. This wail serves as a death announcement, an instinctive reaction to confirm a death, and can also be used for premonition enhancement, clearing ambient noise to focus on auditory premonitions. With training, the scream becomes a potent concussive scream, capable of shattering objects, overloading electronics, and physically impacting targets. A powerful Banshee can even affect their environment through an emotional state, causing objects to shake. Banshees also possess a unique supernatural immunity. As humans accessing supernatural energy, they are unaffected by alpha werewolf bites beyond activating their abilities, Kinema Venom, and Mountain Ash barriers, making them resilient to many supernatural threats. Some Banshees, like Meredith Walker, have shown signs of telepathy, capable of hearing thoughts or communicating mentally with others. More advanced or unique Banshee powers include the Banshee Aura, demonstrated by Leonore, which allows for unprecedented control over their environment. This aura can induce hallucination induction in non-Banshees, creating vivid and often terrifying visual and auditory experiences. It can also enable apparition projection, where the Banshee unconsciously manifests ghostly figures, as seen with Leonore's projection of her son. Through this aura, Banshees can even exhibit psychokinesis, manipulating objects within their will, controlling elements like doors and lights, and potentially affecting the density of materials or nullifying other supernatural powers, which, just to add real quick, is kind of insane and is really crazy when you think about it, given Banshees aren't really fully supernatural in Teen Wolf. So yeah, it's pretty impressive in my opinion. Finally, all Banshees supernatural sensitivity, allowing them to sense, seek out, and identify supernatural energy, though the specific manifestation of this awareness varies among individuals. Banshees are still physically human, and as a result, they share the same weakness of mortality, making them vulnerable to injury, illness, and death just as any other human. Because they possess enhanced senses of hearing, they can also be harmed by extremely loud or high-pitched noises. This was evidenced when Meredith was severely injured after listening to the Banshee record with headphones at Lorraine Martin's lake house, and when Meredith Banshee wailed so loudly that she caused Lydia's ear to bleed, despite the fact that she was with the regular human Style Stalinsky, who was not injured by the scream for some unknown weird reason. Banshees are also susceptible to the psychological turmoil as a result of the trauma involved with constantly being surrounded by death, whether it is having the premonitions of a death or stumbling upon the dead body of someone who has been brutally murdered. Since the supernatural world is still a secret to majority of humans as of the ending of Teen Wolf the movie, Banshees are typically mistaken for being mentally ill, and since they can see and hear things that very few people can, and often behave strangely as a result of the passive aspects of their powers, this puts them at risk of being institutionalized by family members such as Lorraine Martin, Meredith Walker, and briefly Lydia Martin in season 5, as all three of these individuals have all spent time in Eichen House. And that is the complete definitive guide on everything you would ever need to know about the Banshees from MTV's Teen Wolf. Once again, I thank you for getting through this video from beginning to end. This should forever be the only video you ever need to watch to gain all the information you would ever need to know on the Banshees from this verse. This was a very fun video to make. I'm sorry it's coming out extremely late. I put out a community post saying I had a really bad situation outside of YouTube I was dealing with. So that's why this video is coming out nearly a month and a half later than I wanted it to. So apologies for the extreme delay. That situation's dealt with. I've completely recovered from it. that's pretty much it for this video. If you made it to the end, once again, thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching to the end. Make sure you subscribe if you're new and set notifications to all. I'm Jade. I will see you guys in the next episode. But until next time, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you the next time you decide to visit Beacon Hills.